Burke for a false claim leading to his arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Be seated, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge.
Why are you, Kevin?
Case 2201, Parkinson versus Burke.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Brian.
Mr. Parkinson, you are suing the defendant, alleging that she caused you to be falsely arrested.
That is correct.
The defendant has a counterclaim. Her counterclaim is based upon the same incident for which you were arrested. She's claiming that you placed both herself and her passenger in her car in fear because you displayed erratic behavior and threatened them with a gun. And I gather that you two live in a gated community. Is that correct?
Yes,
where is that?
Arkansas.
How long have you lived there?
8 years.
And you?
26 years.
This incident occurred on what date, sir?
June 7th.
Of last year.
Yes.
You were driving what kind of car, Mr. Parkinson?
A gray Toyota Tundra.
Sir, I think I know what that looks like. Could you bring that up for me so that I can see a Toyota Tundra?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like a little car. That sounds like a big car.
It's a truck.
On her laptop, Sarah shows Judy images of pickup trucks.
Big. And what kind of car were you driving?
A Toyota Camry.
That I know what it looks like. It's a regular size, smallish car. This incident happened, according to the complaint, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's correct.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Parkinson, since it's your claim for false arrest.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me your version of what happened on June 7th, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I assume you were on your way home.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Go ahead.
Miss Burke pulled out of the station in front of my vehicle, directly in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes extremely hard.
Okay. Either because she wasn't paying attention, right?
Could be.
Could be. Well, you wouldn't think. Just let me stop. When was the last time you were psychiatrically hospitalized?
Never.
Are you currently taking any psychotropic medication?
No, ma'am.
Were you intoxicated on the 7th of June?
No, ma'am.
4 o'clock in the afternoon?
No, ma'am.
So, Mr. Parkinson, let me go back a little bit. This is a non-psychotic, not drunk person. So if you're a thinking person, you know that if she pulled out, either she wasn't paying attention because she's not driving the Tundra, you are. You're driving a this, she's driving a this. So she wouldn't place herself and her son in harm's way purposely to pull out in front of your Tundra.
I would hope not.
Well, I would say absolutely not. I don't have to even guess about that. She did not put herself purposely in harm's way. And so she pulled out in front of you. You had to put on your brakes hard.
For her safety.
You weren't thinking about her safety. You're not thinking about anybody's safety. It's a reaction. If somebody pulls out unexpectedly, you put your brakes on. Right? That's not going through your mind for her safety. It's put your brakes on. I mean, because if you were thinking about her safety, then we wouldn't be here today. So after you put on your brakes to stop, did anything happen?
Some objects in the back of my truck dislodged, some stuff in the back of the seat moved.
And these things that got dislodged, did they get dislodged from the back cab in the truck or from the interior of the truck?
Both in the bed and the interior.
Okay, what got dislodged in the interior?
Some paperwork, some clothing.
Okay, so it fell on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, and in the back part of the truck?
Bed of the truck, some tools shifted also.
Didn't fall out of the truck. They just moved from one place to another.
That is correct.
What did you do next?
I proceeded to follow Miss Burke into the village because I live in the village.
When you say you followed her in, describe what you mean you followed her in.
She was in front of me, and I followed her into the village.
Don't play with me, sir. I read your complaint. You were tailing her.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's say I was tailing her closely because you were annoyed.
Yes.
There we go. So you understand at this point, sir, that what you were involved in is road rage. You, not her. She was an accident. She was negligent. She wasn't paying attention. Let's say all of those things, not on purpose, because that would be stupid, and she has not recently been psychiatrically hospitalized. You, on the other hand, made a purposeful decision to tail her because you were annoyed that your tools moved. That's what happened. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, I was annoyed.
Okay, you were annoyed, and what followed was an incident of road rage. Your husband, you've been in the car with him when he's had a little bit of road rage? Think about it before you answer me. Have you been in the car with him when he has reacted in a different way from the way you would have reacted to another car?
He has, very minimal.
And the answer is either yes or no. Have you been with him in the car when he has reacted in a way that you would not have reacted in a traffic situation?
Yes, ma'am.
Caption coming up.
I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian and Shelley.
Brian Parkinson claims his neighbor, Shelley Burke, owes for the costs of being falsely arrested. Shelley is countersuing Brian for emotional distress, saying he threatened her with a gun.
And when he's reacted that way, did you ever say anything to him?
It was minimal. I didn't respond to it.
Really? Okay, good. When my husband gets involved in one of those road rage things because somebody cuts him off, I'm all over him like white on rice. Are you crazy, putting me in jeopardy because you got a bad temper? That's what I say to my husband. She can attest to that. Me, I once said it to a police officer who pulled him over. Give him a ticket. Give him 2 tickets. Maybe he'll stop. Right?
True.
So now you're involved in a road rage hissy fit and you're tailgating her. How many blocks did you tail her? Or how many miles did you tail her? Don't look as if you don't understand my question.
No.
Okay, good.
3/4 of a mile, if that.
Okay, well, that's a pretty long way, 3/4 of a mile. So you were tailing her for 3/4 of a mile. And at some point, did she make a turn with her car to avoid you tailing her?
Yes.
A 90-degree turn?
Yes.
So tell me, now you're following her for 3/4 of a mile, and she makes this turn.
Yes.
Now, when she made that sharp turn, did you follow her?
Nope.
No.
No.
No. I know you didn't follow her because she made that turn to get away from you. Do you understand? I've been on this earth a very long time. You, Mr. Parkinson, are an ordinary guy with a bad temper. So I've played this scene in my head, both from personal experience and from watching other jerks like you, in my head 100 times. So when she made this turn, she made the turn to get away from you, and you said, well, I accomplished my mission. I jarred her a little bit. That's if I believe your story, all of it. And you went home. Now, I'm to the point where she makes the turn and you went home. So far, correct?
That is correct.
Does that look familiar to you, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I would like you to walk over there, show me where the gas station is, and show me where you started to follow her.
I'll be more than happy to.
A map.
Of course, it says Shell right here. That's where the incident began.
Right.
She pulled out immediately in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes.
Just a second. So she caused you to hit your brakes.
Yes.
That I know.
Then she turned right. I followed her into the village. Everybody gets close.
No. Just show me. I followed her into the village and
Right
show me
here.
where you proceeded.
Then we drove down, and she turned, I believe, here or here.
Turned how?
To the right.
Okay. And you proceeded to your house?
Yes.
Okay. Now you can step back. So she turned off to get away from the maniac who was tailgating her because she had made a mistake in pulling out in front of him at a gas station. You go home, and what do you do when you get home?
I backed my truck in.
And then what did you do?
I got out of my truck to move the tools and stuff that had shifted to the front of the bed, to the back of the bed, where I can get to them better for work, because I had to slam on the brakes twice.
Mr. Parkinson, do you know what doesn't make sense to me? Your husband isn't a stupid man, is he?
No, ma'am.
No. Now, I don't drive a truck, but I know when I go to the store and buy 2 gallons of chicken soup with matzo balls, and I go to put them in the car, I say to myself, Judy, it's possible that you're going to have to stop short, that a light's going to turn red. So I put the chicken soup in between the front seat and the back seat of the car, and I move the seat so it's stable, so that if my car stops a little short, because even if it stops a little short, my chicken soup would be on the floor of the car. So I make sure that it doesn't move. It just doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't secure this toolbox any better. If you stop short, those tools are naturally going to move, right? The weight of the tools is actually going to move. Okay, so I just am putting this whole thing in my head. Do you need a permit to buy a gun in Arkansas?
You do not have to have a permit to carry in Arkansas. It is an
But you
open
have to make
carry
an
state.
application.
You have to apply to buy a handgun or long rifle.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have, multiple
Oh,
times.
just a second. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
What have you applied to buy?
Numerous guns.
Which you still have.
Yes.
I assume that you keep those guns within the proximity of your home.
They are all kept in the house, Your Honor.
The next thing, according to you, the police show up at your door
That is correct.
and they have a conversation with you about a report
Yes, they
that
did.
someone has, in your area, has complained that there were shots fired by you out of your truck during this road rage incident.
That's what the statement says.
That's what the statement says. And I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
I
Is
told
the
them
answer.
they could.
Mr. Parkinson, I know that you think that I'm stupid. I know that you must think that I'm stupid. Did you give the police permission to search your house? The answer is yes or no.
No.
Of course not. Because in your house, they would have found multiple guns. In your house, just that's a yes or a no. In your house, they would have found multiple guns.
Yes.
You keep multiple guns in your house, but don't carry one around for protection in your truck. When did they arrest you?
I was arrested on August 2nd.
Okay. And?
I was told to call the village police department. I promptly called them, and they told me I had a warrant for my arrest.
And?
I was very shocked,
And?
and I was charged with felony assault, and I had to pay $1,080 to bond and fees to get out of jail.
And?
I was released from jail. And then on the 17th, is that correct?
19th.
The 19th of August, I had a court date.
And?
It was nolle prost, due to the request of the village police department for lack of evidence.
Okay. And?
So I'm out that amount of money for bond for a false arrest because a false statement and half a day.
Okay,
of
we're
work.
going to find out if it's a false statement. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I have to let that sink into you, Mr. Parkinson. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I'm going to hear the defendant. I know one thing for certain. You were involved in a road rage incident and you were the perpetrator. Whether or not you flashed a gun, she's going to tell me. We certainly know that you have guns, according to you, multiple guns, in your house. I suppose you have a couple for you and a couple for your wife. Who else lives in your house with you?
Just the two of us.
Just the two of you. How many guns does he have in the house?
Caption, coming up, Shelley at the map.
So when I go around this one S-car, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. He popped the gun again.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian and Shelley.
Brian Parkinson is accusing his neighbor, Shelley Burke, of lying to the police and getting him falsely arrested. Shelley claims Brian was shooting his gun while following her home.
How many guns does he have in the house?
We have 2 long guns that he used for hunting, and we each have a handgun.
And you each have a handgun.
Yes.
Good.
They are in travel cases that are locked.
You want to know something? I don't believe that.
But we have grandchildren that come over.
When there were grandchildren, you may lock them. Okay, now we're going to you, Miss Burke. Did you see him when you cut him off?
I did not.
Let's start out with the fact that you were exiting the gas station. You didn't see him. You weren't paying attention. You didn't look that way. Whatever it was, you cut him off. So let's start from there.
You got it. This gray truck comes up behind me, swerving and revving his motor and all that. Got as close as he possibly could.
Why don't you show me
I
over
will
there?
do that. Okay.
Shelley approaches a map on a view screen.
There's 2 lanes going into the village. There's a left and a right lane. I go left, he goes right. Well, I get in front of him, and then he starts getting behind me, swerving his car back and forth, revving his motor. He is so close. He's probably closest to me and him. I mean, he's not a car length away. He's right up on my bumper and revving his truck, and I'm going the speed limit. Then I turn to make a left. He's still right on me, never lets up. It's kind of a tricky area because it's curvy. So when I go around this one S-curve, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. And he heard it. We heard, even on the phone call, I think you can possibly hear it. He popped the gun again. And then he's on 911 talking to her, and the lady's saying, be calm, be calm. And I'm leaning down in the car. He's trying to tell me to go. He looks like he's going on past us. But when he does that, he rolls down the window, and you could see him holding a gun in his hand. And he says something I can't understand what he's saying. He's getting the license plate numbers. We thought he kept on going.
So your son got the license number?
Yeah, he got the license plate number. He's on the phone with 911 at this time.
And that's what was given to the police?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I got the 911 call here with us today.
I would like to hear it. Step back. Can I hear the 911 call, please?
Go!
911, what is your emergency?
Somebody was shooting at us.
What?
There's a pop.
Gray Toyota truck. He was shooting at us. His license plate number is...
I need all units. We got a vehicle that is, the complainant is on 911 saying the vehicle is shooting at them. I'm fixing to run the tag. Who am I speaking with?
This is Leslie Scott Rogers.
And you said what kind of vehicle was it?
It's a gray Toyota Tundra. Go.
It's coming back on a gray Toyota Tundra, and that's what the complainant says. It's a 2014 Toyota Tundra.
Okay, start that 911 call all over again. Pay careful attention, because I thought at the beginning of this tape, I too heard a shot. Could we start again, please? Take your hand out of your pocket.
Go!
911, what is your emergency?
Somebody was shooting at us.
There it is. There it is. Got it. You can stop it.
That doesn't sound like a gunshot.
Mm-hmm. Your case is dismissed, Mr. Parkinson. Your case is dismissed. I have a counterclaim, so stand where you are. The counterclaim is by Miss Burke for the emotional trauma that she, let's just talk about her, went through as a result of your road rage and shooting your gun at her, which you did. You probably didn't shoot it to hit her or to hit the car, because I don't think you're that stupid. Stupid, yes, but I don't think that's stupid. I think you did it to frighten her, just to frighten her. Then I think that you brought the gun that you keep in your truck when you work, maybe on your person, which you probably have a perfectly legal right to do, and you took the gun, you said, just in case something happens, because I did, in fact, shoot my gun in her direction, because I heard it on the 911 call. I better put it in the house. I better put it in the house. So you took the gun and you brought it into the house, and then saying, oh, police are here. Oh, well, search my truck. You won't find a gun. Search me. You won't find a gun on me. Don't search my house. And I guarantee you that you didn't say to the policemen when they came, I do have a gun, but it's locked in my house. Show me something where you told the police that you had a gun, but it was in the house. Nothing, because it didn't happen. Based upon that 911 call, the fact that you were involved in a road rage incident with her, tailing her at least 3/4 of a mile, right on her tail, causing that 911 call, as far as I'm concerned, that's trauma. My heart would have been racing triple time, because I don't know whether behind me is a lunatic or just a stupid guy who can't control his temper, and his wife hasn't been able to beat it out of him for the last how many years you're married. Because there's no question he's done that sort of thing before. Maybe not with a gun. Maybe not with a gun. When was the last time, sir, prior to this time, that you were arrested? When was the last time prior to this time that you were arrested? Year?
19.
Then 19, your age, or 2019?
2019.
2019. For what? Now, don't think, I know that if I were arrested once, a couple of years ago, I would have remembered what it was.
Well, I was arrested for supposed harassment, violation of no contact order. What else?
No, don't look at her.
It's been so many times, I can't remember.
So you've been arrested multiple times?
Yes.
Okay, good. Nice. You picked him.
I don't see how this pertains, Your Honor.
How does it pertain?
I do
for
see
your
how it pertains.
propensity for violence, sir.
This has nothing to do with violence.
No, it does have to do with her counterclaim. $5,000 is what your counterclaim is for. Is that correct? Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000. Your claim's dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
It was a very bad day.
We do not carry weapons in our vehicles.
I won't even go out at night anymore because I'm scared he's coming by my house.
She described in the report a black weapon. We don't have a black handgun.
The truth is, I saw the guns.
Well, I think she created a situation by admitting she didn't see me.
I don't understand why he would even say that.
People want to drive stupid, let them, and just back off.
Judy.
The plaintiff was certainly not forthcoming. I let him search my truck. I let him search me. What about your house? Did you tell them I do have a gun, but it wasn't out, it wasn't me, because I leave my guns at, my 2 long guns and my 2 short guns at home? You could hear the pop in the first part of that when,
911 call.
when he was hysterical. And
Work and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
be seated, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2007, Sanchez versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sanchez, how old are you, sir?
I'm 26 years old.
And what is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in film that I got from Full Sail University. I'm currently...
Slowly.
I'm sorry.
You have a bachelor's degree from?
Full Sail University.
Where is that?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. That I can hear. You have to understand, when you're dealing with someone of my age, you have to sort of factor that into your speech. People who are 26 may be able to follow you. I'm senior. I need people to speak slowly so that I can follow them.
I got you.
So you got a bachelor's degree from a university in Florida and graduated when?
I graduated in 2018.
And from there, what kind of work did you do?
From there, I jumped around a little bit. I did
Okay,
work...
you jumped around. Did your family live in Florida?
No, ma'am.
Where do they live?
They live in Beaumont, Texas.
Did you live with them at all in Beaumont?
No, ma'am.
After college?
Not until the pandemic.
Okay. Well, the pandemic was in 2020.
Yes.
So you graduated in June of 2018, and then the pandemic started on or about March of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And in March of 2020, you went home to your parents' house.
Yes.
And you stayed there until when?
I'm still currently there. I started going back to school, actually.
When did you start going back to school?
My first classes were in December of last year.
In Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So you actually had a year and a half out of school when you were hopping around.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me who you worked for in that year and a half.
I was an intern on a documentary.
Okay, and when was that?
That was about a few months after I graduated.
So maybe September, October?
Yeah, probably around there. I did a few independent films.
Okay, and what kind of work did you do for them?
Just kind of depended what they needed. It was mostly
Like a
PA
PA?
stuff. Yeah.
Like a PA. And for that work, were you paid as a PA?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paid as a PA?
They paid me $75 a day.
Pay you in cash?
They paid me in cash.
Okay, so you did those couple of little projects, and then what?
I was also waiting tables at the time.
Okay, well, you got to eat.
Right. After the pandemic hit, my lease was up. I moved back home. Decided I would go back to school to get a tech job. I'm going for cybersecurity right now. I had heard through a family friend.
Okay, let's stop there. This case is, I don't think so difficult, but relatively interesting for me because we don't get them all the time. Mr. Vasquez, you were making a movie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first movie you ever made?
No, Your Honor.
How many movies have you made?
This was film number 5 for me. Written, directed, produced.
Is it a fiction piece or a documentary?
It's actually based on a true story.
So it's a docudrama?
Correct, yes.
See that? Are you impressed with that? There you go, a docudrama. How long a film?
90 to 100 minutes. We're still in post, still editing. So
Keep your voice up. Approximately how long?
100 minutes.
What was your budget?
It's still in
About what was your budget? Then you're going to tell me where you got the financing.
roughly 120,000.
Where did you get the money from?
A lot of it was my money and other producers.
How much did you put in?
Over 80,000.
And you've got other people in for about 40.
Yeah.
Did you make money on your other films?
I have, yes, in the past.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Mr. Sanchez says that he was hired by your company. And he was hired by your company to work on this last film that you were doing. And it was a paying job. And at the end of the period, he was not paid. And in addition, he says that when he complained about not being paid, you put out there on social media that you weren't paying him because he was on drugs. Is that what the case is basically about?
Basically. It wasn't on social media. It was through text messages. He accused me of it, but...
Text messages?
Yes.
Well, that to me is almost social media. If it doesn't come to me by the U.S. Postal Service, I call it social media. I know. Okay. Did you answer an ad for this job?
No, I heard about it through a family friend.
And when did you meet Mr. Vasquez for the first time?
We didn't actually meet face-to-face until about Saturday, July 10th, 2021.
Did you communicate via text messages or
Yes, ma'am.
emails? Well, when was the first either text message or email?
The first text message was on Monday, the 28th, 2021 of June.
6/28/2021. May I see that, please?
Of course.
Christian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
And this one, too. Sorry.
He hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So you first met by email. You say you have one spot available for him as an internship, and then practically immediately thereafter, you say somebody's family is sick in the crew. You have a spot for him as an assistant director.
So, Your Honor.
I'm reading this. Well, you have to tell me what that means. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick and they can't do it.
Correct.
So what is an AD?
He's basically going to assist me as a director, everything from...
Assistant to the director.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. So that's different from an internship.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, we do have internships where people don't get paid, and then you have internships where they do get paid. Most people now pay their interns. Okay. And when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
Caption, coming up.
The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez claims filmmaker Juan Vasquez owes him for unpaid work. Juan says Christian was an unpaid intern.
Okay, and when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
So we met, we sat down. I kind of told him a little bit about my background, like I told you before. He kind of went over like what he was expecting me to do.
Just a second. I want you to tell me what he told you that he wanted you to do.
Managing the set, creating schedules, calling extras, making sure that they were there on time.
Is that what you told him?
Yes, basically assisting me whatever I needed.
Okay, that sounds like more than a PA.
We didn't ask for PAs. There was no intention for PAs.
But what you outlined was clearly more. What did you agree to pay him?
Never agreed to pay him anything. So
Well, how could you do that?
he was an intern. He was presented to me as an intern.
No, not after this text message. He said he was looking for an internship, and you said to him, I have a better role for you. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. Whose family was sick? The name of the person.
I don't recall.
Okay. When you did a budget, did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, we didn't.
Careful. Did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, not that I remember. I usually don't use a first AD, so the terminology...
No. Listen, you know who produces this show? You want to be careful with what you say around people, you know, who are buying your product.
Sure.
Right? Because you're going to be presenting them with budgets, eventually, hopefully, for you. There's no question that if I got this text from you, Mr. Vasquez, I would say, oh my God, I'm going to get a different job, a better role, because he says I have a much better thing. Somebody who was supposed to do it got sick, they can't do it. That's a much different thing from what you describe as bringing me iced tea and setting up the coffee. That's a different role. What did he tell you he was going to pay you, sir?
He told me, verbally, he told me that...
Look, careful when you talk to me. At that meeting, that day, what did he tell you he was going to pay you?
$150 per day for 14 days.
How many days did you actually work on the set?
On the set, I worked 14 days.
It's a lie.
I got COVID on the last 2 days, and he asked me to work from home. And I still scheduled and did all that stuff.
I never asked him to work from home.
You got COVID the last 2 days, so you were actually there 12 days.
Physically there, but I was still working for him.
Who knows? How do I know that?
I have text.
I would like to see the work that you did from home on day 13 and 14.
1,800 for 12 days, not including.
Okay.
On those specific days, I have it on my phone. Could I pull it up?
No, I want to see what you did. If you did work, you sent emails out, you sent scheduling out, and you would probably have to have a conversation with your boss and say, I have COVID, but I'll do whatever I could do from home.
I have all of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I may interject.
Yeah.
So he shows up to the set sick with COVID, gets everybody sick. I had to call the next day of filming because of that.
Are you talking about after he was there for 12 days?
Yes, I'm talking about that particular part, but
I'm talking about he was there for 12 days. He didn't have COVID for 12 days.
we don't know that.
Well, who knows that? I don't know if you have COVID.
We just got tested, Your Honor.
Who knows if you have COVID? Who knows if I have COVID? All I know is I came to work today. I expect to be paid. I wouldn't come to work if I was sick and laying in bed and feeling nauseous and...
Your Honor, if you had a remote position, that'd be different. He didn't have a remote position.
I'm not talking about his 2 days. He was there 12 days.
He did it throughout the course of the project. He was never on time.
I don't care if he was never on time. If he was never on time, sir, then you fire him.
There was days he was not on set.
Listen to me.
Okay.
If he's never on time, then you tell him don't come back after the second day. But if you let him come for 12 days and do whatever he does, I mean, you know, Mr. Vasquez, I'm going to make this as painless for you as possible. There are some employees that I have had over the years that were terrific. Some not so terrific, some terrible. The terrible ones, who were really terrible, who I would have liked to have fired, period, I couldn't do it because of human resources.
Sure.
They have a whole protocol, volumes, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, what you have to go through to fire somebody who's not doing their job.
Right.
But you have to pay him until you can fire him. If you have him come to work, even if he's doing a terrible job, you still have to pay him. Now, if he goes home because he's sick and you're not giving him sick leave and you don't agree for him to work remotely, that's on him. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad. Unless, of course, you agree to have him work remotely, then you have to pay him for 14 days.
Right.
It starts right there, Your Honor, and then the next 2 days follow it.
Kevin brings Christian's phone to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
JV, that's you?
Yes, ma'am.
JV, that's you. So you did, in fact, confer with him from home. Tell him to order food, to picking it up. I don't care if he worked for you for a half hour. He's not your friend. The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
Correct.
And he didn't tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID. Well, you told him not to. And he said, okay. Well, you have to know, as a good citizen, that's not the right thing to do. You do understand that.
And, you know, by not having him on the set, we thought that was proper protocol.
No, you're supposed to notify people who you came into close contact with. You know, I remember they had this whole contact tracing. I know people call all the time and say, you know,
is, Your
we
Honor,
were out
everybody
together
that was
a month
on
ago.
the set.
What?
The reality is, everybody that was on the set, we did discuss the fact that he had COVID, so people knew that.
I don't care whether people knew that. It says here, I won't say anything to the rest of the crew, like you said.
Yeah, because
I
didn't want
understand
to
that you don't want everyone to freak out. I just find that troubling. In any event,
it's just like yelling bomb in an airport. You know, that would have created a bigger hysteria.
Well, that's what COVID is. COVID is a bomb in an airport.
We conveyed to everybody on the set what was going on. The reality is, this man was presented as an intern, never said paid internship. Once he got on the set, he tried to strong-arm us, then demanded the money once he had all the information on the set. We didn't hire him. We didn't post a job for him. We made a job for him because a producer called me up. This is when nepotism goes bad. This kid couldn't even order pizza, Your Honor. He spent $300 at Domino's. Who spends $300 at Domino's?
Mr. Vasquez, then you fire him.
I should have
fired him.
fired
Do you understand?
I should have fired him.
Then your recourse is to fire him. And you're a little company that doesn't have an HR department. Say, you know what, what's your first name?
Christian.
Christian, you're a nice guy, but it's not working out here. I'm going to pay you for 3 days because that's what you were here. Don't come back. I'm going to get somebody else.
And we should do that, Your Honor.
But that's what you should have done.
Yes.
But that's not what you did. You continued to use whatever limited services he provided, even when he was home with COVID.
Yes.
even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him.
Caption coming up.
You gave him a job, and if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something?
The weakest link.
Weakest link, that was the lady. She was terrific. Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez has accused his former employer, Juan Vasquez, of not paying him for 14 days of work. Juan claims Christian was incompetent and never a paid employee.
Okay, even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him. You can't. Okay, so you owe him $2,100 because I assume you paid him nothing. Now, let's get to the second part of your claim, which is defamation. That I'd like to see. I mean, if you're going to be a producer, if you're going to make films, sir, you have to understand. Say you're not working out, you're fired. Something that I would love to be able to say a lot.
I agree.
Not
I
working
should have
out,
fired
you're
him right away.
without risking my house and my car and my dog.
I was taking him on as a basically.
I don't care what you were thinking. That's not what you said.
Asked me to take him on. That's why I took him on.
He actually called me and told me how
just
great
a
of a
second.
job I was doing.
It doesn't require an answer. Okay.
And I can show the messages how he came to be on the set. He was presented.
Just a second. I don't care how he was presented to you. If your Aunt Tilly said, do me a favor, this is my godson.
It was his Aunt Tilly.
He hasn't been able to get a job since he graduated from college.
He hasn't made
He's home. He's home in the attic of his parents' house playing the guitar. We want him to have a job. It's irrelevant. You gave him a job. And if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something? Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy. Do we remember the name of that woman from England who had a show where she said, you're out, get out? I don't know, she was terrific. Let me see.
The weakest link.
Weakest link, that was the lady. Perfect, thank you.
And that's a direct text message to him that I never posted on social media.
Oh.
It was actually a group text.
Just a second. So, Mr. Vasquez, in here, you say to him, this is the second part of his case, which is for defamation. And that's okay. He didn't defame you.
Okay.
Sir, he said they're taking you out of the credits, but you were never promised credits.
In the contract, it says I am.
Let me see where in the contract it said you'd be in the credits. And I didn't even know there was a contract. I thought
He's
you had
also done this before.
Shh.
Kevin brings a document to Judy. She reviews it.
It says you employed him as an actor.
Your Honor, I'm signing actor agreements every day. He put that in front of me to sign. Why would I sign an actor agreement for a first AD?
Just a second. Sir, is this the agreement he put in front of you? Or did you?
I sign actor agreements every day on the...
You're a business guy.
Yeah.
I'm a business lady.
That looked like an actor agreement. That's why I signed it.
Actor agreement. That's what it says.
Yeah. He's not an actor.
Don't sign it. It says you agreed to pay him $150 a day for 4 days of shooting.
14.
14 days of shooting. And that he will be responsible for paying all the taxes on it. So he was going to be paid in
I didn't write that out, Your Honor.
Kevin, would you show this to him, please, and see if he can identify that as his signature? I'm going to check here to see if it's his signature. It looks like his signature to me. Mr. Vasquez, it appears to be the same signature that you used to sign the answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and this says, actor shall receive a credit for acting in the film. Well, that's ridiculous. You didn't act in the film, right?
No, ma'am.
Well, we're going to strike that out because you can't perform that because you didn't act in the movie. Do you understand?
I understand, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And it's clear that whatever this says, based upon this, if you delete one part of a contract, let me see if I remember, if part of a contract, Sarah, is impossible to perform.
Then it's not fully integrated.
And one party acts on that contract, and you can retain part of the contract because of services that were rendered pursuant to the contract. You can eliminate one part.
Yes.
so I can eliminate the actor part of getting credit. So you're not getting credit on this. You're entitled to the $150 a day. As far as the defamation is concerned, sir, what he said in here was clear. He said he was told by someone else, which is very possible. And the only thing that you can produce for me today is this fellow who said you tried to put together a little bit of a drug transaction. Are you?
No.
Well, then you're irrelevant. You can produce, because if he says, told me, then he's not saying you did this. He put it in a text to you that this is what he was told.
Retaliation, whenever I served him the night before, the very next morning he sent me that text message.
I don't care. I don't care. He's not a great businessman. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Christian then won.
I thought she was very fair. I'm really, really happy with how the judgment came out.
He was an intern. Interns aren't paid. It never said paid internship.
He tried to avoid signing a contract at first.
The reality is, with a budget, we would love to pay the kid, but he cost us more money than he was actually worth.
He lies constantly. Nothing's ever his fault. He always makes up a new scenario in which he's the victim.
He couldn't even order pizza. I mean, who spends $300 at Domino's?
Handed me the actor's agreement, told me to sign it.
No more nepotism. If I don't know him, I haven't vetted him, I don't want them on the project.
A little bit weird, but it had everything.
And this kid is going to go be a cybersecurity guy.
Always save your receipts, dude. Always just keep any sort of communications, even if it's a phone call, send a text or an email that just recaps what you said.
I was so happy to vent for a moment on the current inability to fire inept people and to fire people who aren't doing their job, which has been getting worse over the last quarter century. I actually believe that HR is a vital service for people who are unjustly, based on something other than their performance, treated badly by an employer. And harassment in the workplace, I think, is important.
Howard for damages and defamation to her pet daycare business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2173, Langley versus Howard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Langley, your complaint states that you live in a rural area, 13 acres. Your business is pet sitting.
Correct.
The property that you own does not have running water.
Correct.
So all of the water for your property has to be trucked in.
Yes.
The defendant is the owner of? The
owner's wife.
The same thing. They own a water business where they deliver by truck massive amounts of water, and you had used them for a period of time. Prior to Labor Day of 2021, when this incident occurred, how long have you been using the defendants?
Probably about a year.
And how often do they deliver water to your property?
4 times a week. Usually 3 times for the pool and once for the house.
Okay. And each time they came, was that on a set time during the week?
We tried to get a set time, but it varied quite often.
Okay. Would they call before they came?
No.
For the year that you had them, when they came, did you pay them at the time that they came?
Yes, I did. Oftentimes we paid in advance. So we paid for the entire week.
So you either paid in advance or you paid at the time of the delivery?
Yes.
Did you give them a check or cash?
Check.
Now let's get to Labor Day 2021. On what day were they supposed to come?
I believe it was the 4th of September. It was on a Friday.
And who was at home to accept the delivery?
We didn't know when they were coming, but I had taken my employee out to lunch, and I called my nephew, who was there holding down the fort, and told him if they deliver water, let them know I forgot the check, so they can either deliver or come back later.
Well, you live in a rural area. Coming back later is a big inconvenience because you forgot the check.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, it happened that it was a big inconvenience because you went out for lunch and you left a nephew. They came, the check wasn't there, and they left with the water. Now, what time did you come?
I wasn't the one who delivered the water. It was my husband, but I believe he had came.
No, he'll tell me.
Oh, okay.
So this was about a year and a half ago. I don't remember the exact time, but it was an AM delivery because we were going out of town Friday evening, going up north. So I was trying to get done with our route fairly early so that we could get
So
out
the first time you came to the house was in the morning?
That's correct.
Not lunchtime?
No, it was probably somewhere around 10 a.m. if I was to guess.
Okay. And when you got there that one time, the nephew was there.
That's correct.
And tell me what happened.
Well, the nephew, for starters, is about 12 years old, and the reason why we don't necessarily have a time frame for businesses is because if it's between business hours, when we show up and if they need water, usually that shouldn't be an issue for the business.
Don't give me a whole story, sir. The nephew was 12 years old, okay, and he was left in charge of the pets.
That's correct.
Okay, so the nephew was left in charge of these animals, and when you came, there was no check. What happened?
It wasn't even about the money, the reason why I left. The reason why I showed up there is he was talking on the phone, and he said, we are not ready for water right now.
He was on his phone?
Yes.
Where did this conversation take place?
Near the pool, the dog pool. And we were actually taking 4,000 gallons. So I brought my big truck. I'd bring 2,000 for the doggy pool and then 2,000 for the house because it was a holiday weekend, so I had to make sure that we got him enough water to last through the holiday weekend.
Okay, and I assume that the plaintiff was satisfied with your service because she had continued with your service for over a year.
Yes, that's correct.
That's according to you. That's according to you. You had been satisfied with their service because if you weren't, you would have found somebody else. But you had been satisfied with their service. According to you, you paid them in advance or on the date of the delivery. On Labor Day, September 4th, you left your 12-year-old nephew there.
12, but...
Well, how old is he, 13?
He's 15.
So what? What's the difference?
Okay, I'm just...
Well, maybe he's 15 now. Maybe he wasn't in 2021. So the nephew said to you, we're not ready for water delivery now.
That's
Is that what you're saying? Now, your business have a phone?
Correct.
Did the plaintiff ever call you and say, I'm home now, I'm sorry, there was a mix-up?
No, so what happened, I showed up there, he wasn't ready for water. I told him, I go, that is...
What do you have to do to get ready for water?
For their purposes, I believe it was to try to use up as much as they can.
No, don't tell me what you believe. I want to know what you have to do to get ready for a water delivery. Do you have to open up a spigot? What do you have to do?
Okay, so basically they're holding tanks that are in basements or in the ground. So normally nobody even has to be there, 90% of our customers. This particular case, one of their tanks is in a basement which doesn't have an alarm. So in order to fill their tank up, somebody has to be down there with a radio to radio up to us to know when to shut the water off.
Okay, so that would have had to have been the nephew who was between the ages of 12 and 15, would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you came onto the property, he said, we're not ready for a water delivery.
That's correct.
And he would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
So you left.
Yes, correct.
What happened next?
Your Honor, I told him that it's not that big of a deal. I got a few more stops. I'm gonna go do those stops and then I'll come back. And then hopefully you'll be ready and your aunt would be ready for water at that time. So I went and did my 2 stops. So I used up another 4,000 gallons. I filled back up. Went back to their house. At this time, it was probably somewhere around 12. And again, he said, we're still not ready for water.
So you went back again at noon?
Between 12 and 1, I would say.
And the plaintiff wasn't home?
That's correct, again.
How many hours passed between the first delivery and the second?
It takes me about 45 minutes per stop, and I know I did about 2 stops, about an hour and a half it took me before I was back there.
And for that hour and a half, she didn't come back. So it was either a very late breakfast or a very early lunch?
That's correct.
Okay, so now they go twice to deliver water to you, and you're not there, and neither is your check. So now you tell me what happened next.
Kyle called me. First, he doesn't have a phone, but we do have a business line. So he called me on the business line and told me that the driver just left. He goes, I don't know where he went. He said, I think
Who told?
Kyle.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, he's my nephew.
Your nephew called you. What time?
Well, our lunch is...
What? You went before lunch? Because he was there earlier in the morning.
We did not go before lunch. We went 12:30 to 2. The dogs always nap 12:30 to 2. Okay. We separated the dogs.
How many times did they?
We were
5 minutes. How many times did they come to your house to deliver water?
According to what I was told, I wasn't there. 2.
Well, that's what he says. He came twice. We haven't gotten to the third yet, but he came twice to your house, and you weren't there.
Correct.
You're supposed to wait for a service. You're supposed to be there ready for the service. That would be on you. That's not on them, that's on you. They came when they were supposed to deliver water, and you weren't there, and you left somebody who was not equipped to deal with the situation in charge. And what happened was you didn't have water, potentially, over the holiday weekend because they were going away, so you had to scurry to find other water.
Correct.
That's what this case is about.
Caption, coming up.
If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty.
Brenda smiles. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley claims business owner Amber Howard defamed her pet daycare business. Amber is countersuing for negative reviews Brenda made toward her business.
Okay, so according to you, a year later, you heard something about their business, so you wrote a negative something about their business on the internet. You'll tell me what that is in a moment. And in retaliation for that, they posted a negative comment about your business, alleging something that had to do with the animals. So that's what this case is about. Your use of the internet to make trouble. You, a year later, according to you, only posted one negative review, is that right?
Correct.
And that was a year later?
Yes. Do you want me to tell you why? Because they take the reviews down. You can't leave it.
All
I tried right away.
All I'm asking you is, I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, coulda. A year later, you posted a negative review about them. So I'd like to see the review and why you waited a year. You had had a full year of positive service from these people, and the day that you had a problem with them was your fault. I just determined that. It was your fault.
Okay.
So I want to see what you said about them.
Brenda produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Miss Langley, so I read this thing. It says, funny how this shows up as a recommendation. Apparently, they took the rating system off their page. They were always shorting us on water for the pool. Well, you used them satisfactorily for a year. So I think that that's baloney.
We had a couple run-ins over it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. What is that about? Once when you complained about what?
About the pool being short on water.
Just what did your nephew have to do with them? Your nephew is hardly a teenager. What did your nephew have to do with discussing
Nothing,
things
really.
with the bro?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He would help them sometimes bring the hose in and things like that, but he was just a helper every once in a while.
Well, what does that mean?
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. Video surveillance proved he was lying. No one ever approached him and no one spoke to him. I showed the owner the video and he didn't seem to care. The last straw was when the owner, that would be them, left for a holiday weekend and we had no water and low pool water. Well, that would be your fault. You don't say that here. It just makes it appear as if they left and left you high and dry, but they came at least twice. He's going to tell me a third time, probably, to deliver water, and you weren't there. When my nephew asked if we could pay next week, he got in his truck and left. That's also your fault.
If you would have communicated, I could have brought the money. We were 5 minutes away.
Just a second. That puts the onus on them. Why weren't you there? This is all on you. This isn't on them. No conversation, no phone call, not even a curse word. I called his wife to find out what happened, and she said they were going out of town for the weekend. And you put in parentheses, too bad. Well, you're allowed to go out. You're allowed to go out for lunch when their delivery is coming without a check, but they're not allowed to go out for Labor Day for the weekend. I immediately called a competitor to bail us out. Thank God he took mercy on us and came out right away. We have had excellent service with the competitor ever since. It could have been catastrophic to try not just to live, but run a business with no water over the holiday weekend. You should have been home to get your delivery. And so,
can I say something?
Sure.
I always paid. They knew I was good for the money, and nobody has to be there when they deliver water. We don't watch them deliver water, except for maybe in the house, and Kyle was there to receive it.
Just a second. He just told me that one of the water tanks is in the basement. Somebody has to be there in the basement in your house. If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty. And for no reason. I don't hear a reason why this a year later. You want to tell me?
I had heard about some bad business practices, so it got me upset again, so I decided to look and find a way to put a review on. They had taken their reviews off the page, so immediately I wanted to put a review on there, but they have it down as a recommendation.
Who cares?
So that's when I let
I just still don't understand why a year later you stir this up. So for a year, you were getting water from a competitor, you cut off their system, they seem to be still surviving. You're still in business?
Yes. Yeah.
They're in business without you, you're in business without them.
Right.
Okay, so this is nasty. Okay, now, as a result of being nasty, they wrote a review about you, which is why you're here, about your business.
Yes.
May I see that review?
About her statement saying that she only gave us one bad review, we have proof that we have multiple bad reviews, not just the one, over that course of a year and a half.
May I see, and I'd like to see them. Did you write more than one negative review? Okay, I'm going to take a look at them.
That's what I posted.
Amber produces a document.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I posted right here. I gave you the wrong copy.
She hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy for review.
Oh, well, this is a different one where you say last water haulers suggested we had to kiss whatever or they would not show. They rarely answered a call or a text in a timely manner. I was even late to a party posted at my home. I had zero water and couldn't shower, couldn't get in touch with anybody. The last straw was Friday. They dropped us on a holiday weekend and said that they would see us on Tuesday.
I don't think that was a review, Your Honor.
Was this not a review?
I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't a review. It was a comment.
Yep.
It was a comment. It was still out there, alive, out there.
Caption, coming up.
So it was really a tit for tat. You got tired?
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
Brenda and Amber grin. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley has accused business owner Amber Howard of defaming her pet daycare business. Amber claims Brenda created negative reviews a year after their dispute ended.
I'm looking to see what you posted about her.
He's got it.
You go, Judge.
Kevin hands a document to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay. So you posted this on October the 30th, and this is on a Facebook?
Yes.
We used to supply water for the puppy pool here 3 times a week, and our drivers witnessed on multiple occasions the staff mistreating dogs in their care. They would see on multiple occasions dog feces in the pool before they would fill it up. We were going to send our dog there before we knew all this, but I told our dog was too small and they could not accommodate him. Now that I know the kind of business they run, I'm thankful I kept my pet out of their care. I would think twice before sending your beloved pet there. And then Lucky Puppy, that would be you. Funny, I just gave you a poor review on your page. The difference is our review was true. Your review is defamation of character. You can remove your untrue statements or you can be sued. Your choice. So now I'm going to ask you sort of the same question. The incident happened on Labor Day of 2021. October 30th, and that would be of 2022?
Correct.
So between the time that they ceased to be customers of yours and a year later, what happened that caused you to write this negative review?
So as you can see in the evidence I gave you, she all the time was just saying negative things about our business. We never had said anything about her business.
Just a second. So the answer was it was tit for tat.
Correct.
It was tit for tat. She was writing negative reviews about your business. So you wrote, which I just determined were untrue. So you wrote a negative review about her business.
Correct.
A year later. I mean, if you were really concerned about the pets, you would have written it immediately. So it was really a tit for tat. You got tired?
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
May I say something, please?
Sure.
So what she accused us of is illegal.
Just a second.
We have to keep sanitary conditions, and we have to.
Just a second. How do I know that one of their drivers didn't report seeing feces in the pool? How do I know that?
I've been there before. and asked them why they didn't need water that currently week, you know, that they're going to need it, the 2,000 gallons on Wednesday like they normally do. And he said, we just had to get the dogs out just because we realized there was feces in there. They said it happens a few times a year. So it was not a statement.
Whatever. It's their business, madam. Just like this is your business. If you run a dirty place,
I don't.
That's the whole thing. Just a second. They don't run an irresponsible business. In your reviews, you're suggesting that they are irresponsible and also thieves, because in one of your reviews, you say they were shorting us on water.
Yes, they were.
That's what you say. And you said it not only a year later, you said it during the course of the year. And it was their business. Their business is as important to them as yours is to you. So if you're going to weaponize these reviews, then you both deserve what you got. You're not supposed to do that. If you were legitimately concerned about the dogs, you would have reported it right away. What this was tit for tat, so you deserve each other. Claim and counterclaim are dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Brenda, then Amber and her husband.
My thing was that they accused us of breaking the law, and it was totally untrue. My statements were true. Whether they were in the wrong or not, they were true statements, and hers were complete fabrication.
I mean, we had been dealing with it for about 1.5 years, so I was just really shocked when I received the paperwork in the mail, since I did delete the review, since she did threaten to sue me, so I did delete it.
Look at reviews, and if you can't find them, go somewhere else.
I wanted both of us to be successful businesses, because we live in a small community and our businesses do not, we're not in direct competition with each other. So I wish her well, and I would hope she would wish our business well.
Judy and Sarah.
People like me just learn to look at a restaurant and see what the reviews are. And you sort of assume that people of goodwill, if they're going to post something that's negative, it's because they had a negative experience. And I think it's such a shame that it's become a way to weaponize legitimate reviews where somebody, the plaintiff in this case, had absolutely no clue that the problem on Labor Day was her fault.
Yeah.
She had a perfectly reasonable relationship with him for over 1 year. She said they paid him in advance. She never said anything about shorting water.
It's just the power of the internet. I mean, now today, I know there are people that will cancel businesses for reasons completely unrelated to the business, but if you act out, you say the wrong thing, you display a negative character trait in public, people will go to your business's page completely unrelated to anything in the business and just flood the page. I'm talking thousands. They will get thousands of people to write bad reviews about a business, especially if something went viral or if the owners of the business, if they were in a viral video that was not nice. It's the power of the internet and cancel culture.
Well, the internet can be a tool for good and wonderful, or as we know, it can be a very dark place.
Yep.
But it can't be a very dark place without mean-spirited or bad people. Yeah. And there are mean-spirited and bad people. I don't know how you protect yourself from something like that. I really don't know how you protect yourself.
The consumer has to be smart in reading the reviews and how much weight they're giving reviews. I like when businesses respond to especially the negative reviews. And
Mela Turturelli for personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Be seated, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Good. Case number 248, Bolio versus Thompson's Turkey Valley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Miss Bolio?
I'm 31.
You have 2 kids?
I have 3 children.
3. How old are they?
I have a 10-year-old daughter and 2 sons that are 4 and 5.
What kind of work do you do?
I stay at home with my children.
And how long have you been staying at home?
Since my first son was born.
So for 5 years?
Yep, my first son.
And what had you done before?
Housekeeping, and while I was pregnant with both my sons, I did do beet harvest.
There came a time, sometime, I think, was it last year, that you needed a place to stay.
Yes.
2021.
Yep.
Why?
September 29th of 2020, me and my boyfriend had broken up, so I had stayed in a shelter.
Is your boyfriend the father of either one of these two children?
All my children have the same father. Me and him had broken up at the time, and I left from where we were staying at the time. Our living was West Fargo, to the YWCA right away, the homeless shelter. And I was there for like 6 months. And during that time, I had met Carmela, and me and her became friends. And I had introduced her to my brother. And then I moved away for a little while. in April, and I came back like the end of May.
Where did you move to?
I went to Texas.
What's in Texas?
A friend.
Where did you meet him?
Here in Fargo when I was 14 years old.
So what brought you to Texas?
That's where he was living, and he told me if I wanted to come live with him there, I could.
You didn't have a job in Texas.
He did.
You?
No, I did not.
And from when to when were you living in Texas?
I left April 15th, and I was there until like...
Of 2021?
Yeah. And then I moved back beginning of June, kind of. And then...
Beginning of June of the same year?
Yes.
So you stayed there for 3 months?
Yeah.
And you moved with your children?
Yep, all 3 of them.
Yep is not an answer.
Yes, all 3 of my children I moved.
Okay, so you took them out of school in April?
My daughter.
Took her out of school in April?
Yep, I did.
Yep is not an answer.
Yes. And we moved.
You took her out of school in April to go to Texas, to live with a friend that lasted 2 months. The fact is you took your daughter out of school. I'm just trying to figure out who I'm dealing with.
Yes, because I had nowhere to live.
Well, there's a big place, but where do you live, in what state?
Minnesota.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
Well, there's a big difference between Texas and Minnesota. And also, there's only 2 months between April, when school is still in session, and June, when it's over.
Yes, I know this.
Yeah, you know this. You're aware of this.
Yes.
Okay. I set this up because I really want to find out what I'm dealing with here. Now, I sort of know. In any event, you had no place to go. Your brother contacted you. You contacted him, and he invited you to come and live with him.
Yes, he did.
All right. That's what he did. You and your 3 children.
Nope, just me and my 2 boys.
So you were going to live with your brother and his girlfriend with your 2 children.
Yes.
You got there when?
October.
Of 2021.
Yes.
Case is relatively simple. Case involves your claim that they have property that belongs to you. And they have a cross complaint that they probably would not have brought but for the fact that you're suing them. Because I think that they're just happy that you're gone. You moved in with them in October of 2021 and paid no regular rent.
The agreement between me and my brother was to buy food for the house and to give him money when I can.
Okay, now you weren't working. Now you weren't working, so how are you going to buy food for the house?
I was on assistance through Minnesota, so I got SNAP.
So you got food stamps?
Yes, and then I had child support. Well, I was on child support, but I wasn't getting the money. I didn't start getting money until February of 2022. And that's when I start giving him money every so often.
In October of 2021, you were not getting child support.
No.
You were getting food stamps, which you said you would share with your brother.
Yep.
Who lives, not yep is not an answer, who lives with his girlfriend, and how many children?
We have no children.
No children at all?
We have dogs.
That's fine. So you were sharing some of your food stamps with your brother and his girlfriend?
All of my food stamps went to the house.
Well, that's where you were living?
Yep. Yes, it was.
Yes, that's where you were living, with your 2 children?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm currently unemployed.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works for a cleaning service.
Okay. Now, there came a time that you got a substantial amount of money from the government. What month and year was that?
Just this past April.
How much did you get from the government?
It was taxes.
What kind of taxes? You haven't worked in 5 years.
It was the child tax credit, and I did work when I moved back from Texas.
You told me you hadn't worked in 5 years. I want to know what you got money from the federal government for. That's what your brother says. And I was curious, that's why I asked you the questions about working.
It is.
So don't make it up.
It slipped my mind.
What?
I'm sorry.
So that doesn't slip your mind.
I did housekeeping, laundry, in a hotel when I moved back from Texas with my mother.
Month? You worked from June 2021 until, we'll find out.
Until like mid-June because I did not have a babysitter for my children.
So you worked for a couple of weeks?
Yes.
How much money did you get from the federal government in April of 2022?
Like $11,000 from the government for child tax credit.
So you got $11,000, not from working, not that it slipped your mind, because 2 weeks may slip your mind because that's what you worked, if you worked at all. $11,000, you got child care credits. How much did you get for each of your 3 children?
I only filed for 2 of my children.
How much did you get for the 2 boys?
I believe $3,000 for each of them.
That's $6,000. Where's the other 5?
That came to me for the stimulus checks because I did not receive the last stimulus check. They said that my boys did not receive like the refund that was coming to them for the stimulus too. So that was all
So
on
your
tax.
boys got, let me understand why this country is in such a fiscal morass today. So you got $3,000 for child care credit for each of your children, and the other $5,000 came because you went to an accounting firm, and they said, well, you should have gotten stimulus money for your boys.
Yes.
And you missed that, so we're going to put in for it. So they sent you another 5, or they sent you...
They sent it all together on one.
Okay, all together on one. So that you had plenty of time to go and take care of.
Yes.
Right.
Your judge actually have proof of how much she did get.
Jordan hands a document to Kevin.
Now, when you got this $11,000, that $11,000 was supposed to help get you through COVID.
Yes.
Paying your bills, paying for rent, buying clothes for your children. So you got this money in April of 2022, $11,400. Okay. And then you went on vacation. In what month and year did you go on vacation?
April of 2022.
So the minute you got the money, according to you,
I start looking for a vehicle.
You bought a car?
I started looking for a vehicle.
So you started to look for a car. Now, you've been without a car for a while, but you started looking for a car.
Yep.
And also in April, you asked your friend, your brother's girlfriend, if she would watch your 2 children.
Me and her had a discussion before April.
You didn't go until after you got the money.
Yes.
You knew you were getting the money before April because you were going to apply for it.
Yes.
Yes.
But when I got the thing where it said I was getting the money back, it didn't say that much.
$11,400. So you decided to go on vacation. Where did you go?
I went to Colorado.
Where in Colorado?
Up in the Denver area.
How did you get there?
I was with a friend and they drove.
Male or female friend?
Male.
So you went with a male friend to Colorado for how long?
I was there for a week.
What does this friend do for a living?
I'm not really sure.
You don't know whether this friend works or not?
I met him last year and I kept in contact with him throughout the whole year. And then we just got back in contact February of beginning of 2022.
And you don't know what he does for a living?
I'm not really sure what he was doing for work.
Caption, coming up.
You have no right to give away any of her property, whether you think somebody deserves it more than she deserves it. That doesn't require an answer. I'm telling you what the rule is.
Carmela smirks. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Alyssa, Jordan, and Carmela.
Alyssa Bolio claims her brother, Jordan Thompson, and his girlfriend, Carmela Turturelli, owe for the value of her personal belongings.
Okay, so you went away for a week, and according to what I read, you made arrangements with your friend, your brother's girlfriend, to take care of your 2 children, and you agreed to pay her $400 for the week.
Yes.
And then you went away for the week in April. Did you come back after a week?
Yes, I did.
On what date did you return?
The Saturday right before Easter.
Date?
April 19th, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
I came home and I talked...
April 19th?
Yep, I came home on April 19th and I talked to my brother and Carmela. I stayed at the house for a little while because my boys were not there
What
when I got home.
What a little while?
I stayed at the house for maybe 2 hours and got all my stuff into the house and my boys were not there. So I believe I went to my sister's house and to my mother's house, and I did not know where my boys were.
Just a second. If your 2 boys weren't in the house...
I had asked them where they were.
You asked them where you were and they told you it was a secret?
No, I asked them where my children were, and they said that they had went with their father.
So you knew where they were?
When I got home, I knew where they were. I didn't know that they had left previous to me arriving home.
When you got home from being away with a new friend in Denver, and you said, where are my boys? Duh, where are my boys? They're with their dad. So you went to your sister and mother's house, and then what happened?
And then the next morning, we left to the cities, and...
The next morning?
On Easter Sunday.
On Easter Sunday, who's we?
Me and the friend.
What friend?
My friend that I went to Denver with.
So you went where?
Minneapolis.
How far a ride is that?
4-hour drive.
You intend to stay over there?
No. We were going to go visit some of his friends and then come back But next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital. And I contacted my brother when I did.
You have the hospital records?
No, I do not. I contacted them.
You have, just a second, you have an admission record?
No.
Do you have a bill from them?
No, because I don't get billed.
Of course you get bills. When you leave the hospital, they say either you owe us this amount of money, that's what you get when you're discharged from the hospital. You may not be able to get hospital records, but it would certainly be interesting, madam, for me to know what. The next thing I knew after you were going with your friend to the cities to see some of his friends, you don't know anything until after you wake up in a hospital. Wouldn't you be concerned?
As soon as I woke up, I contacted my brother.
What date?
I'm not sure. I don't remember exact dates.
I mean, you have 3 children. What do you mean you don't know what date?
I don't know the exact dates, but I did contact him as soon as I was able to, because I did not have my own phone.
Don't you see how irresponsible this whole story is for a person who has 3 children?
Yes.
How totally irresponsible it is. And what is sad about it is you appear to be an intelligent person who just seems to go from one place to another based upon, well, I used to know him in Texas, I used to know him in Colorado, I used to know him here. I'll leave my 2 boys with Camilla.
And we don't have no children, so we're taking care of her children while she's out running around doing whatever.
I didn't ask you anything. Okay. I can actually visualize the picture, and sadly, so can you. What date did she finally contact you after she disappeared again?
So after a Thursday after Easter Sunday.
The Thursday after Easter Sunday, so that's the
21st of April is the Thursday after Easter this year.
It was actually Monday, the 25th.
We got records.
That's when I came home.
I don't care. I just want to know when you showed up again.
I contacted my brother, and I let him know what had happened. And then he was asking about our father, like I was supposed to go pick up our father.
I don't care. Let's get to the lawsuit. Now that I understand the characters that I'm dealing with, it is your claim that your brother and or his girlfriend took some of your property, didn't give you all your property that you should have had, because they finally said, we've had enough of you and your shenanigans, goodbye.
I did not start leaving the house until that April. I was in the house the whole time with my boys. I've asked them maybe to watch them overnight a couple times, but that's it.
I don't care. They had enough of you. You didn't pay rent. They could say to you, goodbye. We tried to do our best. You took advantage of us. Goodbye. Now, that being said, you stayed with them for how many months and didn't pay them any rent, any utilities? How many months? You and your boys?
4.
Oh, 4 months.
Because I started paying my brother in February.
Paying him what?
Money. I gave him money.
No, I don't want to know who gave him money. Rent. I know that at your age, maybe you think you're too young. Maybe you're too young. They either rent their house, they have a mortgage on their house, they have things that they have to pay.
We did not agree upon a set amount for every month. We did not agree
upon it. Well, don't you think you should agree on a certain amount every month? You just came into $11,000.
And it was actually way more than 4 months.
You just came into $11,000. You've been living off somebody else's largesse. You just came into $11,000 that I gave you, or they gave you, but you certainly didn't work for. So you say to at least the person who you're staying with, listen, I'm going to give you a couple of $100s a month just to cover my share of the expenses because you're 2 people and we're 3.
I gave him $400 when I got my taxes. As soon as I got it, I gave him money.
Did you pay Camilla for watching the children?
Yes, I did.
$400?
Yes.
Okay. Did she pay you?
Yes.
She says in her complaint that you sold a computer of hers. She says you felt that she owed you more money because you actually watched the children for a longer period of time than the week that she paid you for when she doesn't remember where she was. Did you sell her computer?
I actually gave it away.
No, I don't believe that.
I did. And it's not
well, why
her
would you
computer.
give it away? That's just spiteful.
Because it was family and...
What do you mean it was family?
It was family.
I am not your family.
I don't want you to speak. You have no right to give her things away.
It wasn't hers, and I have proof right here.
Whose was it?
Yeah. Who knows? I guess her friends.
That doesn't matter. It was in her possession.
It was in our possession, actually.
It was. She left it with us when she left.
I left it at the house.
No. That you may think is in your possession.
She asked me to sell it for her.
What?
She even asked me to sell it for her.
But it was not in your
Just a
possession.
second.
It was in my room.
Madam.
Yes.
If she asked you to sell it for her, then you don't give it away.
Well,
if she says, sell my computer for me, then you sell it. that you don't say, I can't sell it, so I'm just going to give it away.
I gave it to one of the kids in the family that I thought could use it way more than her trying to use it to bail out her friend from jail.
That's not...
And she owed me a whole bunch more money.
Who died and left you boss?
Well, me in the house, because it was our house.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You met her in a shelter.
Yes.
How long have you lived in that house that you're currently living in?
August of 2018, to be exact.
Before that, the lease was in my name.
What part of I don't want to hear you? So you moved into his house?
Yes.
Right, so it's not your house.
Well.
It's his house. And since you're not his wife, you're his girlfriend, for now, you have no right to sell or give away any of her property, whether you think somebody deserves it more than she deserves it. Hey, that doesn't require an answer. I'm telling you what the rule is.
Oh.
Caption coming up.
You wanted them to sell your TV,
yes,
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Alyssa, Jordan, and Carmela.
Alyssa Bolio has accused her brother, Jordan Thompson, and his girlfriend, Carmela Turturelli, of wrongfully selling her belongings. Jordan and Carmela claim Alyssa gave them permission to remove her property.
Now, you have no right to go into somebody else's bag. If they gave you instructions and you accepted those instructions, please sell my computer for me, which is what you just said. Isn't that what she just said?
It is what she just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sell my computer for me, and you decided not to sell it, but just to give it to somebody else in the family who could better benefit from it. You got to pay for the computer. Period.
She owed me money.
Period.
I have the evidence.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. That's a different story. Carmela, let me tell you something, sir. You look like a very nice guy. You look like a very nice guy. I would unload her as fast as I could.
Oh.
I'm just telling you.
Wow.
I'm just telling you. Because first she says, I gave it away. Let's understand what she says. First she said, I gave it away. Then she said, she told me to sell it, right?
Yes.
Then she said, I gave it to somebody who I thought could use it better than she was using it. Now, I'm going to ask you, Kevin, to go get the 2 pieces of paper that she wants me to review that she owed her money, and then I'm going to go back and explain to your lovely Carmela, listen to me, sir.
I'm listening.
Who I would think twice about.
Carmela shakes her head. Judy reviews the document.
Well, I don't see anything about a computer here. I see that you wanted them to sell your TV,
yes,
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh. Oh. I didn't see anything about the computer. I see the TV, I see a jacket.
Here, it's right here.
Just a second. It's not in the ones you gave me, but I'm glad you gave that to me because I have some indication that she did, in fact, ask you to start selling stuff because this is the same person that you went to the cities with.
Yes, and...
yes, when you forgot where you were and woke up in a hospital.
Yes.
Judy shakes her head.
Okay, found someone who wants that digital graphic computer. So can you put it in the living room or by my door? So you were going to sell your digital computer.
Yes.
Was it his computer?
It was, but he had given it to me.
So you wanted to sell it?
Yes.
And you say, I'm not giving it to you until you pay me what you owe me for childcare, because you felt as if she should pay you more money because you watched the children longer than a week.
And there's a couple other reasons.
And whatever, and a pair of shoes. I don't care anything about that. You have a bill for the computer?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Alyssa produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
No, I don't like this because the date was changed. The date the order was placed was to April 18th, 2022. So this is not a legitimate, it may be a legitimate price, but it says order placed on April 18th, 2022. You want to take a look at that? Because that's phony. Somebody changed that. No, somebody changed it. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
When did you get it?
I got it in April.
I don't believe this. Take a look.
Judy hands the document to Sarah.
When did he go to jail?
The 25th
Of
April.
what?
Of April.
And you left on vacation with him when?
A week before Easter, so I'm not really sure.
A week before Easter, Sarah. What's the date?
The week before Easter, the previous Sunday would be the 10th, April 10th.
April 10th. And you were away for a week?
Yes.
And then you don't remember where you were?
No, that was the second week.
That was the second week?
Yes. I was in Colorado for the full week, and I came back the day before Easter, and then I left on Easter Day, and then
And when did you get this computer? You see, that's what I'm asking you. When could you possibly have gotten this computer if the bill...
This is dated the 18th.
Of April.
Which I believe they said was the day she came back.
When could you have possibly gotten it from him?
I ordered it for him. I paid for it, and then he gave it to me.
Listen, I suggest you both get your acts together. You get nothing from your brother. Just consider yourself very, very lucky that he took care of you and that he let you come into his house. I would suggest you not do it again, and maybe she'll get smart. She has 3 children. She'd like to raise them together. She should get a job. Find a way of making a living. Figure it out, because you made 3 children. They have a right to a certain amount of stability.
And they all are stable.
That's not stability.
That is
Get it together. Oh, well, sometimes you can't get through to people. They're that kind of thick, and that's why we are where we are in this country. Do you understand?
Yes,
Think twice. I know you tried to be a good brother.
Yep.
Think twice about doing it again. By the way, does your mother work?
Yes.
And it mentioned something about a father. What kind of work did your father do?
I don't really remember.
He was a logger.
Both your parents work.
Yep.
Good. Evidently, it didn't rub off. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Alyssa, then Carmela and Jordan.
I'm okay with it.
She was a friend, and I love her children. And really, it wasn't about her. It was about them kids.
He won't talk to me because of her.
You need a job, you need to
Change.
Something needs to change with her.
I don't really care.
Hopefully she does figure it out. The kids deserve it. He deserves it. He's a good brother.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, that case takes me back to my family court days. And I only have one observation other than the fact that I'm what should be society's frustration with this, which is once you have children, you have the responsibility, your sole responsibility is to make sure that your children are taken care of. You have to say, listen, my social life takes a back seat. Everything else takes a back seat. But I have 3 little kids, and they are my priority. So I have to do whatever I can to put my life in order. And she clearly has priorities.
Robin Major for scooter damages after Robin hit Matthew's scooter.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy.
Hello, Judge. Case 2197, Klinghoffer versus Major.
Thank you.
Judy turns to Matthew.
You were riding a motor scooter.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe it for me, please?
It is a 2018 Yamaha Zuma.
Is that a small?
No, I got a picture of it here.
Can I see that?
Matthew hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews an image of a scooter.
Yeah, well, it's small.
Yeah, it's a
And
small vehicle.
you were on this vehicle with a child?
Yes, ma'am.
That was your son, who's how old?
12.
What's his name?
Justin Barr.
He's not here today.
No.
Why not?
He has autism.
And you were riding with him going where on October 20th of last year?
I just picked him up from school and I was on my way home.
How far is it?
The school is less than a half a mile from my home.
Do you pick him up every day?
Most of the time, yeah, but since this accident, I have not picked him up since. Mom does.
So there's a car available to pick him up. It's your claim that the defendant, while acting negligently, hit your scooter and damaged it.
Yes, ma'am.
You want him to be responsible. That happened on the 22nd of October. I assume sometime after 3 o'clock?
Yes. It was at 3:18.
In what state do you live?
Evansville, Indiana.
Is there any sort of helmet rule in Indiana?
No, ma'am.
Yes, there is.
My son, for a child, yes.
Just a second. So the answer is either yes or no. You
Yes,
said
ma'am.
no. So
for me, no. For my son, yes.
Was your son wearing a helmet?
Yes, ma'am.
No, he was
Shh, shh. No, listen to me. Shh. Don't speak.
He had a small purple bicycle helmet on
Now, you wear a helmet because?
to keep him from getting his head hurt.
Hurt?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Which
just for my own interest, why wouldn't you wear a helmet to prevent you from getting hurt?
Dumb is what dumb does.
Well, that would be an answer, because that sounds sort of reckless to me.
Yes, ma'am. I wear a helmet now.
And I'm not so sure your son was wearing a helmet on the 22nd of October either, sir. So I want you to be very, very careful when I ask you this question again. Are you positive that your son was wearing a helmet on the 22nd of October?
No, ma'am, I wasn't 100% positive, but he normally always is wearing a helmet.
Okay. On your way home, I understand you have some sort of a chart to try to explain to me what the accident was. This is your version of the accident. So you want to step over there, Mr. Klinghoffer?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be you and your son riding, both of you, probably without helmets. And it looks, that's your version, and it looks as if...
sitting in traffic.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And it looks as if there's a lot of traffic.
Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of traffic, no helmets, you're on your way home, and go ahead.
I was just sitting in traffic here, waiting for the train to clear, and he comes out of his driveway and backs right into me.
Okay.
No horn, no regard of me being there.
Wait 1 second. On the other side, this is your chart.
Yes, ma'am.
On the other side of where the defendant's driveway is, which I assume is the blue car, that's his driveway, is that a street?
Yes, ma'am.
You know where I'm talking about?
Yes,
Point to where I'm talking about.
This is a street
Yes,
called...
that's a street.
Yes.
And that's a street that has cars.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So one would say you should not be in that intersection.
Well,
Just a second. One would say, even in your chart, you should not be in that intersection. You should be either have enough room in front or wait until the traffic moves, because you're stuck in the middle. So a car can't move out of...
I was actually sitting about right here.
Well, this is your chart.
Yes, ma'am.
So you indicate that that chart is not absolutely correct.
No, it's
and
not.
that your scooter was right behind the three cars.
Behind these three cars here.
But still in the intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second.
We was coming to a rolling stop as the arms were coming down, so I didn't know where I was going to stop at, so I was rolling with traffic. And the vehicle that was in front of me was also pulling a trailer, and I couldn't see around it. It was a big box trailer.
So you couldn't see what was in front of you?
No, I could not. And I got as far away from his driveway as I possibly could.
No, you weren't even thinking about his driveway, sir. Let's be square. You know, it's not a good idea to make things up as you go.
No.
You didn't even know that his driveway was there.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I knew it was there, but I was trying to get it far enough out of the way of the intersection. I didn't think he was going to come out of his driveway and back into me, ma'am.
Well, so you were watching the other side, not the driveway?
Yeah.
Is that what
I was looking
you
at
say?
the intersection, just making sure I got out of the intersection, got past the yellow line.
Okay. So he clipped the...
Rear, right by my taillight.
Yeah, back here.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened? You can go back now.
And it literally just shoved me over.
Okay, go back. So it shoved you over. Now, when it shoved you over, did you land on one foot or did you land on the pavement?
Oh, we landed on the pavement. I tossed my son up because he was sitting in front of me. Up onto his feet.
Oh, hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Your son was sitting in front of you.
Yes.
Is that what he said?
He was sitting in front of me.
So your son was driving?
No, he was not driving. I was driving.
I'm trying to get this picture in my head.
I'm being a
with this little, just a second, with this little scooter. Your son was in front of you. This is one seat. So he was sitting in front of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your 12-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And how tall is your 12-year-old?
Probably about 5 foot, if that.
My size?
Yes.
So, like a fully grown adult. He may be not yet fully grown for a kid, but I'm a fully grown adult, and I'm 5 feet tall, and I've been that my whole life. So I'm an adult.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So your adult child is sitting in front of you. You're sitting behind him.
Yes.
Now, I want you to explain to me, hold out your arms. I want you to explain to me how your son is in front of you, you're behind him in the back part of this seat, and you're driving. I want you to explain that to me.
Caption, coming up.
the 12-year-old driving the motor scooter.
He was not driving.
But I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
I don't care whether you believe me. You're not judging me. I'm judging you. So that means that if I don't believe you, that's important. If you don't believe me, that is irrelevant.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Matthew and Robin.
Matthew Klinghoffer claims fellow motorist Robin Major hit Matthew's scooter while Robin was pulling out of his driveway.
Go ahead.
I'm reaching around my son and driving. I've been doing it since I was 16. I've been driving scooters since I was 16.
Hey, you may have been driving scooters when you're 16, but I've been using my common sense for 80 years. And I don't see why your son wasn't sitting behind you so you didn't have to lean over on that big, long seat in order to be maneuvering this scooter. I'm not visualizing that, Mr. Klinghoffer, so I want you to take a deep breath. Kevin, let me see Mr. Major's diagram.
Robin hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a photo of a scooter.
So I want you, your son is sitting in front on the seat. You're sitting in the raised portion behind him. I want you to put that down there.
Kevin brings the photo to Matthew.
Which sitting back there in the raised portion makes me sit up much higher than him.
Matthew makes a mark on the photo.
Sarah, does your research indicate how long this thing is? Does it give any dimensions?
I'm sure I could find it.
Okay, so he clipped the back and you fell off?
We fell over. I stood my son back up. I got up.
So you fell over and son got up?
I got my son up. I got up. He was still pushing my vehicle. I got up to smack on the back of his window. And then he gets out and aggressively screaming at me, "Why are you smacking on my window? Why are you trying to break my window?"
Okay.
I asked him, "Why are you still proceeding to try to run over my vehicle?"
But he's not trying to run over your vehicle, sir. What kind of car did he have? He had a truck.
Chevy Blazer, 2003.
Big one. He's in a very high SUV, right? And you're in a very low scooter. Now, neither you or your son went to the hospital, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Neither you or your son had medical treatment at the scene.
My son was looked over, but that was
Just a second. Neither you had medical treatment at the scene.
No.
Neither you or your son went to a doctor.
No.
Now, do you have a photograph of what your scooter looked like after this accident? Because this is his photograph.
That's after the accident. Here's another one.
Okay, I'd like to see what your photograph looks like.
There's all of them.
Mr. Klinghoffer of the motorcycle, because Mr. Major is handing me up his photographs of what this looks like.
Matthew produces photos.
Here's the whole stack.
Okay, so what we're talking about is this piece right here.
That's my exhaust. And
Just a second, that's what's damaged. This
and
piece,
the upper panel there.
I don't see anything damaged in the upper panel.
On picture, it shows it.
I'd like to see
I bet
it.
it does. Now, on that muffler, that's rust.
That's not rust.
I might not know nothing about scooters, but I know what rust is like.
Mr. Major.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what's wrong with you. I made myself clear pleasantly to you, respectfully to you, but you certainly understood that here we don't talk to each other.
Yes, ma'am.
That you will have a turn right now. It's his turn.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that wheelbase is 50 inches, so about 4 feet wheel to wheel.
Okay, so let me see. So from here to here, wheel to wheel is 4 feet. So sitting on the back here, in order to get to the handlebars.
Maybe like 3 feet.
3 feet. Hold out your arms. Nah. Okay. Now, just to complete your story, sir, Mr. Klinghoffer, this happened in October, and you said you wear a motorcycle helmet now, or a helmet now, since the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Since this accident.
It scared me straight.
And did you or did you not have the scooter repaired?
No, I have not had it repaired.
Just a second. So the answer is no. Pay attention, Mr. Klinghoffer, from which I deduce, you're looking at your papers, from which I deduce that the motor scooter is operable. You've been using it since October, despite the, oh yes, that's what you just said.
I haven't been using it.
Who's been using it?
I got 3 others.
No.
I got 3 other scooters that I've been driving.
I don't
have
believe,
not been driving
just
that
a second, I don't believe you, sir. I want you to be really careful about what you say to me. You do wear a helmet now. Now you know where I'm going, Mr. Klinghoffer. Since the accident, so does your son. There is nothing that appears to be mechanically wrong with this motor scooter in either your photographs or his. Nothing mechanical.
Estimate.
I don't care what your estimate says, sir. My naked eye. First of all, you understand that I'm doubting.
I understand,
I'm doubting big parts of your story, Mr. Klinghoffer.
I understand, ma'am.
I doubt big parts of your story about whether or not you were wearing a helmet. I don't think your son was wearing a helmet. I think that this diagram indicates to me that you were in a place where you shouldn't have been. That's your diagram. He has his own diagram that'd probably be very different. So I am going to assume, because that's my common sense, that you and or your son have been riding this motor scooter since October and that it hasn't sat idly. I don't care what you got, because the pictures belie the fact that this motor scooter was damaged beyond being rideable. And that's if it was his fault. Okay, now we've got his picture, now we're coming to you. Is that a fair and accurate representation
Yes.
of the accident site?
No, it's not. Yes.
Now.
How would you know? You wasn't even there. You didn't show up 20 minutes after the fact.
Excuse me.
You did not show up. She wasn't even there.
I'm going to throw you out, and you're going to lose this. I'm going to throw you out, and you're going to lose.
You called
him
an idiot
in
front of my son.
Okay, she's gone. Gone, gone, gone.
A woman leaves.
Yeah. I know why you can't afford insurance.
Gone.
We wouldn't be here today if he had insurance.
Did you understand why I threw your wife out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you people think this is all about. The fact that he had no, is what you say to me, he had no insurance, which is why you're here?
Yeah, we wouldn't be here right now if he had insurance, and insurance would have took care of all
Yeah,
that.
well, it's possible, Mr. Klinghoffer, that you wouldn't be here right now, and I haven't made a decision yet if you weren't driving recklessly without helmets with your son, who, according to you, has issues, the 12-year-old driving the motor scooter.
He was not driving.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
I don't care whether you believe me. You're not judging me. I'm judging you. So that means that if I don't believe you, that's important. If you don't believe me, that is irrelevant.
Caption coming up.
Were you driving your car uninsured?
I was moving my...
Oh, no. Be very careful what you say to me. You turned the ignition on, started to move. That's driving.
Whitney smirks. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Matthew and Robin.
Matthew Klinghoffer is accusing fellow motorist Robin Major of hitting him and his son while Robin backed out of his driveway.
Okay. Your statement, Mr. Major, based upon this diagram, is that the defendant pulled out and was to sort of beat the traffic and was driving not in a lane, which suggests to me, sir, that you saw him.
I didn't see him.
Well, how do you know that he pulled out?
When I was backing out, the car that's adjacent there waved me out.
You mean the car
behind?
Go over there. I know what you're talking about, just so that we're clear. The car behind said you.
This car, as I'm coming out my driveway, he's saying he's waving me out.
He's waving you on to suggest that it's clear.
So I'm coming out, and I didn't see him, Your Honor.
You didn't see him?
No.
Okay. Now go back. Now, Mr. Major, we're going to get to insurance. Were you driving your car uninsured?
I wasn't driving. I was moving my...
Oh, no. Be very careful what you say to me. You put a key in the ignition. You turned the ignition on. You put the car in reverse.
Yes, ma'am.
Started to move. That's driving.
Yes, ma'am.
And driving far enough into the street so you weren't on your property.
No, my car was still in...
Oh, no, Mr. Major.
Still in the driveway.
Mr. Major, you said that that's a fair and accurate representation of the accident
That's
scene.
my driveway.
The back of your car is not in the driveway. The back of your car is in a public street. That's
right.
what you...
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he was... Listen to me, Mr. Major. I'm an equal opportunity abuser. You have to understand that. So please, I'm sort of ancient, but please don't treat me as if I'm stupid.
No,
people confuse age with stupidity.
No,
that would be a huge mistake on your part.
Yes.
Huge. Unless you're suggesting he came up on your driveway, which this doesn't suggest at all. You were in a public street without insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be an easy. Did the police respond to this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a police report?
There is
May I have it,
thing
please?
they gave me.
Right here.
Matthew hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Scuff and scratch marks were observed on the left side of vehicle 2. That's what the police officer observed. Now, what did you do after this accident, Mr. Klinghoffer?
I called the police.
You got the police. The police came, they took a report, they spoke to you. Now, you were picking your son up from school.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
I went home.
You went home with your son. Now, when you went home with your son, you were riding in front, is that correct?
We walked home. My vehicle was not rideable. My exhaust pipe was
Just a
bent.
second. How did you get the motor scooter?
I pushed it.
Did you see him push the motor scooter?
I seen him push it down so far, and then he got on it.
Just a second. Would you bring in Mr. Klinghoffer's wife?
Kevin leaves the courtroom. He returns with Matthew's wife.
This way.
Step over next to your husband, please. Were you at home when your husband came home with your son after this accident?
He actually called me.
Just a second. I said, were you at home?
Yes, I was at home.
Who else was home with you?
My brother and my friend.
You say your husband called you and he told you about the accident?
Yes.
And what did you do?
Me and got in the car and we pulled up and I parked in the middle of the street.
Go over to that chart and show me where you pulled up.
Matthew's wife, Brittany, approaches the traffic diagram.
About right here.
Okay, so you pulled up right near where the accident was?
Yes.
And where was your husband?
He was right here with Justin.
Okay, go back.
She joins Matthew at the plaintiff's table.
And then what happened? Police come, police leave. I want you to tell me what happened next.
After the police and fire department and ambulance leave, me and Justin walked to where they told me to park my car. So me and Justin got in the car.
And your husband?
He was walking the scooter back to our house with.
And is that how he arrived at the house, walking with the motor scooter?
Yes.
Very good. Kevin, she can go out now.
This way, please.
Brittany leaves with Kevin.
Now, as soon as Kevin gets back, I'm going to take a look at your estimate.
Matthew hands a document to Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay, so protector muffler, reasonable. Front fender, unreasonable. Just a second. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Radiator cover, footrest boards. No. Rear reflector is reasonable. Exhaust pipe. Okay. Now, Mr. Major.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to tell you that ordinarily I would award him half the damage because I think that he was 50% responsible for this accident. I think he was driving negligently with his son. I think his son was actually, his 12-year-old son was driving the scooter. I think that that's what happened because his story about him sitting in the rear seat hunching over his son in a 4-foot wheelbase is not something that I can conjure. And if it was true, it was still reckless. So I would actually ascribe half of his damage to him. I'm not, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if there was a lot of traffic, you are at least partially responsible for not being more cautious. You're driving in a big car. There was somebody behind you because you did, in fact, hit them. And you have to be very cautious when you're driving a big car. The reason I'm ascribing all the damage to you, sir, is because you had no insurance. And nobody belongs on the road without insurance. And there has to be a penalty when you're driving without insurance, just like when you're driving without a license. Do you require a license? Just a second. Hey! Where you live, which Sarah can check, do you need a driver's license to ride a scooter on the street?
No, you need an endorsement for a Class B scooter.
A what?
An endorsement for a Class B scooter.
Okay. Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your son?
No.
Your son was driving. Your case is dismissed. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
My son was not driving.
This court is adjourned.
Robin.
I had insurance, but I had it on my other vehicle, not on my truck. I didn't feel nothing until he was pounding on the back of my window. I did not see the scooter until after the fact. Wear your helmet when you're on a scooter and have insurance when you're back on your driveway.
Judy and Sarah.
You know what was interesting about that, Sarah, to me? The one thing he said which came out sort of by accident, was that his son was in front of him. And there's no question that...
I can imagine a world in which you're...
Arrest and bail money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2027, Davis versus Zadie.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, a couple of years ago, you were a tenant of the defendant's.
Correct, Your Honor.
You rented a room from him?
Correct, Your
in
Honor.
his house. For how long?
For about a year, a little over.
From when to when?
2020, I want to say the beginning of the year till about the end.
Do you remember the dates that he was a tenant?
Yes, they're incorrect what he's saying. It was from May of 2020 to November 2020.
Does that sound right, Mr. Davis?
Something like that, yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October, and when in November did he leave?
I believe it was by the 10th.
This is what your case is about. Briefly, it is your claim that you and Mr. Zadie had some sort of an argument.
Correct.
Which you'll tell me about. And Mr. Zadie called the police. You were taken from the premises.
Mm-hmm.
You were arrested, spent the night in jail, mailed yourself out. And this happened in 2020.
Correct.
In November of 2020. Your lawsuit is for false arrest and actual damages. You had to post bail and for filing a false police report. The reason that you have delayed for 2 years in bringing this case against him is because you say you had another action pending.
Correct, Your Honor.
What was the nature of the other action that you had pending?
It was a speeding issue with the police.
Well, it's not a speeding issue with the police. Were you stopped for speeding? Were you arrested for speeding?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were arrested for speeding?
Yeah, and they called it a 2800 VC, if my memory serves me correct.
Well, I don't know what that is.
It's, I guess, evading.
Look into it.
In what city and state do you live?
Irvine, California.
Let me understand this. Very few people are arrested for speeding. You remember what you were arrested for, sir? You weren't arrested for speeding.
They called it evading an officer because I didn't pull over right away.
So you were evading an officer. Let's try that, Sarah.
Evading a police officer in a vehicle. It's vehicle code 2800-1.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, what does it say?
Prohibits evading an officer in a vehicle, which means willfully fleeing from a police officer when the officer is pursuing the person in a car or on a bike. The offense is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail.
Okay, so you had a misdemeanor pending, right? Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else historically?
Yes, I did have historical priors and cases and stuff from my past. Yes, I did.
Recent past or distant past?
Distant past.
How distant?
Years. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to go into 2004. So you had this case pending and you felt that it was inappropriate to bring a civil case against him.
Yeah, because I didn't want the cases to intertwine, Your Honor.
They weren't going to intertwine. The case that he brought against you was eventually dismissed.
Correct.
In what month and year was it dismissed?
It was dismissed the same month, about 2 weeks after that.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, so let me understand this. He alleged that you assaulted him or threatened him. You were taken into custody. The DA examined the case and decided not to prosecute it.
Correct.
And that was 2 years ago.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who gave you advice, sir, or whether you did this on your own, but bringing a civil case against someone for something has no impact whatsoever on a pending criminal case, be it a felony or a misdemeanor. You know, if you were driving in a car and someone hit you in the rear in November of 2020, and you waited 2 years to bring that because you had this evading a police officer action and you thought that that was a valid reason, your case would be dismissed for the hit in the rear and whatever injuries you had, because you're supposed to bring these things in a timely fashion.
I understand.
2 years is not a timely fashion. Now that I've suggested that to you, I would like to hear what you say transpired in November 2020, to the best of your recollection.
On November the 9th, 2020, me and my former landlord, Alex Zadidi over here, we had an argument about a guest that I had over.
Okay. You had an argument over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
Tell me how that phone call was initiated.
He texted me some things and I called him because I wanted to...
Okay. He texted you. Do you have a copy of that text?
No, I don't have the text.
Do you recall what that text said?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it said.
I told him that he has to get his girlfriend out of the house because she's been coming in every day and night, staying there.
Okay, so you said, in effect, I rented you this room, not your girlfriend.
Correct.
You got to get her out of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I had
You remember
already
her name?
addressed to him
Just
prior.
just a second. You remember her name?
Not.
What was her name?
Twana.
Now, when
The
you
woman I
rented the
was in
room in May, just a second. When you rented the room in May and you moved in, did Tawana move in with you?
She did not move in with me.
So when you rented the room for yourself in May, you rented the room as a single person.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And when did you bring Tawana into the room?
It would be once in a while.
No. What month, sir?
I don't recall the exact month.
What month, sir?
It started happening like back in August, every day. It started one day, then every other day, and then it became constant day and night.
For how long?
For a long, long time, till towards the November when it just went out of proportion.
The argument was about having his girlfriend, according to you, practically living there.
Right.
And you didn't want her there.
No.
Okay, because you rented a room to a single man who, until the girlfriend started to come in, I assume you didn't have trouble with.
Right.
So that's what your text message said to him in November. And as a result of that text message, you called him on the phone. I'm just trying to lay out the story.
Okay.
So you called him on the phone and you said what to him and he said what to you?
I don't recall exactly what I said to him, but I remember he told me to tell her, get the out, get out my house, get the out right now. Your girlfriend is a. He was saying a bunch of derogatory things over the phone to me, and then hung up in my face. I'm working at the time, so when I came back.
Did you call your girlfriend?
No, I didn't call her.
Did you text her?
We speak regularly. We're talking all
No,
the time.
then.
Yeah, she knew about it. She did.
Don't tell me what she knew. I just asked you if you texted her or called her.
Yeah, I did.
You did. And when you texted or called her, was she in the house? Was she in your room?
No, she was gone already at this time. When we were arguing,
just
she was.
Just a second. Is that because he told her to leave?
No, she was leaving already. She had work to go to. She wasn't living there. She had her own place and job in Lakewood, California. And I would tell him that all the time, but he would always insinuate that, oh, no, she's living there. I'm like, no, she's not. She pays $2,000 in rent.
He lives in the house with you.
Right.
Now, before Tawana, had you had any difficulty with him? You
None
moved
at
in
all.
May. May, did you have any difficulty? No.
No.
June, did you have any difficulty?
No.
July, did you have any difficulty?
No.
No. You didn't have difficulty until Tawana came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So he told you in a very rude way, if I accept that, to get Tawana out of his house.
Correct, Your Honor.
Then you came home from work.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get home from work?
About 9-ish.
And Tawana was gone.
Yeah, she was gone.
Had she taken her things?
There was nothing for her to take. She didn't bring stuff over there. She wasn't living there.
No, but she came over there and stayed a few days a week and never had
Maybe
any
an
stuff.
overnight bag.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
she took
yeah.
it with her when she
Yeah,
left.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got home about 9 o'clock, and what happened?
I got home at 9 and I said, don't disrespect me and my woman. You know, this is the woman I
Okay.
love.
When you got home, you walked in the front door. Where was he?
He was in the kitchen and he had a female guest there too. That was
He's
there
allowed
for
to have a
weeks.
female guest. It's his house.
Yeah, right. The pot calling the kettle black, basically.
No,
Hypocrisy.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if you rent a room to a single guy, did you have a lease agreement with him?
Yeah, I did have a lease agreement.
Did you have a written lease?
Yes, I did.
Did your written lease provide that you were going to live there?
Yes, it did.
Just you?
Yes.
Well, you bring in another person, that's in violation of the lease.
That's not in violation of the lease because there was nothing in the lease that said I couldn't have guests. He actually said I could have guests.
Guest is one thing. A guest is somebody that doesn't come with an overnight bag regularly.
No, he said
one
I could
day,
have an overnight
2 days, 3 days, 4 days. That's more than an occasional guest. That's somebody that comes and goes even when you're not there. Because according to you, you contacted Tawana while you were at work and she was at the house.
That's false.
Well, I thought you contacted her, and then you said she left. She took a few things with her, probably just an overnight bag.
No, she was not going there when I wasn't there. That's false.
Are you saying that she was not in your room when you were not home?
When I was not there, no,
Yeah.
she would not be there.
That true?
No, he had made a key to her. She would come as she pleased.
Did you make her a
That's
key?
false. That's absolutely false.
Did you make her a key?
No, that's
is my
absolutely
question.
false. No, I
Do you
didn't make
still
her a key.
speak to Tawana?
No, I don't. We kind of fell out of touch.
If I were to call Tawana, and asked her whether or not you made a key, would she tell me she did or she didn't?
She would say that I didn't.
Didn't?
Yeah.
Phone number?
Uh,
I have it in my system.
I don't have her number saved here.
I'm not exactly buying the fact that Tawana did not have access to the home even when you weren't there, even if it was just a half hour before you came home from work, sir. You work until 9 o'clock every night?
Your Honor, I had this to say about the whole key situation. I gave her my key when I was locked up in jail from his false police report. I gave her my property, and she had my key then to help me get the stuff out of his home. But I never went and made her a copy of a key anywhere.
Did she ever use your key other than when you were incarcerated?
No.
He says she did.
I said, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did.
He's a guy. Why would you call him a...
It's gender neutral at this point.
You think that that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ryan and Alex.
Ryan Davis claims his former landlord, Alex Zadie, owes for bail money after Alex had him falsely arrested.
Okay, so now you're having this discussion. He's in the kitchen. You come home from work at 9 o'clock, and you went into the kitchen to look for him.
Correct.
And when you found him, tell me what happened.
We had just a brief, maybe 2-minute conversation or argument, discourse about what the things that he said. And I said, you know, don't be disrespectful to my woman and me. And I said, you know, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did. But I never threatened him,
No, you
harassed
said
him.
you're what?
That's it.
What does that mean? That's a half a sentence.
Well,
He was calling him a bitch. You are a bitch.
Oh, you were calling him?
yes, because he says these
guy.
things over the phone.
He's a guy. Why would
Yeah.
you call him a...
Because he says all these things over the phone and he gets real loud and he's a completely different person when he's on the phone than when I'm in
You
his...
think that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here. Okie dokie.
So,
okay, so you were going, don't call me that. You called him a name, and then things got heated, and then what happened?
no, things didn't get heated. After that, he said, oh, that's how you want to do it? And then I said, if you want to get me evicted, you have to go through it the right way and do it legally and give me a 30-day eviction.
No, he must have said to you, I want you out of here because you called me a name.
It
If
wasn't
you said,
a
if you want me evicted, then he had to have said something about getting you out.
He didn't really see, I don't remember him mentioning anything about me getting out. I just remember the fact that he called the police to get
No,
me
before
out.
he called the police. You were still in the kitchen. Do you ever leave the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to my room.
Okay. Before you went to your room, did you hear him on the phone with the police?
I did.
Before you went
Yes.
to your room?
Yes.
Okay. And?
And I didn't sit there and listen to his phone call. I took a video and I started recording because I didn't want to be made out to look like the guilty party. And I had it pretty much live streaming the whole time, which was an Instagram video.
Can I see it?
No, I don't have the video. The police
Well, then it
deleted
doesn't exist. If you don't have it, it doesn't exist for my purpose.
Understood. Understood.
But you had it then?
Yeah, I did have it then.
You did. And the police came?
Yes.
And I assume if the police came, you showed them the video.
Yeah, I was showing it to him.
And despite showing them the video, they took you into custody.
Despite showing them the video, they
Just
took
a
me
second.
into custody.
Despite looking at the video,
Yes.
which I haven't seen.
They didn't look at the video. They refused to look at it.
Well, let's go one step further. You see, Mr. Davis, this is why you bring actions right away, so that not only everybody's memory is fresh, but if I wanted to call a police officer
where
who
you're coming.
responded or whatever, that's why you bring an action right away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So now you're taken into custody and you have a video that is totally, according to you, exculpatory.
I don't know the definition.
Exculpatory means it says that you were not guilty of anything.
Okay.
And you appear in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
Never?
No, never.
Well, what happened to the case?
The case was thrown out. It was a DA reject because there was insufficient evidence that I did anything to him.
And you never showed the district attorney your video?
I didn't get a chance to because the video was deleted by the police.
The police department deleted your video?
Yeah, they did.
You are a terrible victim of circumstance, Mr. Davis. Did you ever make a complaint that the police department deleted your video that would be exculpatory?
No.
Why not? I would if I had.
Maybe ignorance of the law, I guess.
What?
I said maybe ignorance of the law, I guess. Not knowing. When you know better, you do better.
No, Mr. Davis. Actually, I mean, sometimes you really don't know what the law is, but you were smart enough, you said, to tell me, because you knew I would say, why wait 2 years, that you didn't want this action to conflict with another action. Well, that's a two-process thinker.
I've had something like that happen to me before, where I had a criminal case and a civil case pending, and the dates were kind of intertwining and messing, and they're about to get in the way of my civil case. So I didn't want to make that same mistake with this case, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to tell me what your version of the events were of November 9th of 2020?
Yes, Your Honor. I had gone to Mexico for a business trip meeting, and I had my friend who was visiting from Mexico staying at my place, and at that same time I had another roommate who was renting the room next to Ryan Davis's room. His name was Dave. I received a call from Dave on November 9th that is constant sex going on.
Okay, so you received a call from the other person living in your house who you were renting a room to.
Right.
Okay, and then, don't tell me what he said. Can't tell me, that's all hearsay.
Well, I've heard prior to all the sexual acts taking place.
Listen to me. You personally?
Yes.
When you were home?
Yes.
Okay, so you heard what was going on behind his closed doors?
Right, day and night.
Okay.
Like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, well, maybe, you know, maybe jealous.
Whitney smirks.
Okay.
Disrespectful.
Shh. Okay, so he was becoming an annoying tenant.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Yes.
Keep going. You sent him a text. He called you. You had heated words. He comes home from work. You're in the kitchen.
Yes.
He comes into the kitchen and
I told him, Ryan, we've gone through this many times before. I've addressed this to you about your girlfriend coming here all the time, day and night, and now she's here every day. What he was doing was sneaking her in late at night, and that's how I will know that she snuck back in. There were times I came home from work, and she was already there when Ryan wasn't even there, so she had the key, obviously.
Okay, now let's go to November 9th.
November 9th, I confronted him. I said that this is just way too much. My other roommate wants to leave. He cannot take it anymore.
And?
And then he said, well, she isn't here. And my...
Okay, he said she wasn't here. Keep going.
Then he cussed at my friend who was visiting from Mexico. He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's not true.
Don't interrupt.
And,
okay.
I said, you know, you can't talk to her.
Okay, let's go.
Right. Then he went into his room. He came back. He brought a samurai sword with him. And he flashed at me. I'm going to slice you in half like a butter.
Okay.
You know? What? And I'm like shocked at that time. Don't know what's going on with him because he's just changing character. I'm scared of my life. I'm scared of my guests.
Okay. And then what happened? So
And
he
then
came out
I said, you need to get out of here. You need to move.
And then he went back. He didn't do anything with the sword.
No, he didn't. He went back in the room with the sword. He put it there. Then he came back and he pushed me against the wall. As he was pushing me, I tried to block him by putting my two hands up. And when he pushed me, it bruised. I had a cut on my wrist, but there was a bruise.
Okay.
And
now,
I
at what
said, I'm going to
point?
call the police.
Okay, so you called the police when he came back out of his room the second time, this time without the sword. And the police took a report.
Yes.
Do you have that report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Alex produces a document.
Mr. Davis, do you have a copy of the police report or any
have it right
follow-up
here, too,
report?
Your
I'd like to see that too.
Kevin brings Ryan's document to Judy.
Mr. Davis, where did you get the sword from?
My girlfriend at the time,
Which girlfriend?
Twana.
When did she get it for you?
She got it during my birthday, for a birthday gift.
When's your birthday?
October 31st.
And this happened on November 9th.
Correct.
Between October 31st and November 9th, did you have occasion to show Mrs. Zaidi prior to November 9th? So
Never,
between
Your Honor.
31st and the 8th, did you show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
Never, Your Honor. He's
Just
a liar.
just a sec. Just answer my question. He was there or not there, according to you?
There.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ryan and Alex.
Ryan Davis has accused his former landlord, Alex Zaidi, of causing a false arrest. Alex says Ryan threatened him with a samurai sword.
Okay. October 31st to November 8th, did you ever show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No.
Okay. So unless he went into your room,
He went into my room.
unless he went into your room prior to November 9th, there was no way he would have seen the sword.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go away on this business trip, sir?
On the 9th.
That day?
Yes, in the morning.
And on what day did you first see this sword that was in his room?
On the evening of November 9th.
That was the first time, not his birthday, not second day, not third day. Okay. Does his room have a lock on it, by the way?
From inside.
From inside. Mr. Davis, were you on probation at the time of this incident for something in Riverside that involved a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that wasn't a fraud dating back to 2004?
It was dating back.
No, it wasn't an incident.
For 2000 and, I believe, 15.
Okay. So when you told me before, and I'm not even going to have Whitney read it back, you said the last time you had this speeding little problem and evading police, I said, well, before that? And you said, yeah, I did before that in 2004.
Correct.
But that was a lie.
Which was like...
Just a second, that was a lie. You had another case involving a fraud in 2015 on which you were on probation, which means that you were either found guilty or took a plea.
Correct.
Okay. And when the police officer, Mr. Davis, took down your statement, you said that while you acknowledged that you had a samurai sword in your room, you said you had never shown it to Mr. Zadie.
Correct, Your Honor.
You had never showed it at any time. Well, then how would he know that you had a samurai sword, sir, in your room when he called the police?
Because he was going in my room, I believe, when I was not there, going through my stuff.
Okay.
That's the only other way that I can know that he was...
I'm not finished reading this, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That's like the 2015 case. You just remember. Do you have any other police reports that you'd like me to see, Mr. Davis?
Not a police report, but I have the bail bonds receipt that I paid. And
I'm not interested in your bail bonds receipt.
I have the DA reject.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they rejected the case right here.
Yeah,
They refused
I'd like
to file
to see
charges. Your Honor, there's a conflicting story where he said he was left on the 9th because he was there 2 weeks with his guest prior to that. So how could he leave on the 9th if his guest was there 2 weeks prior to the 9th?
I asked him when he left for his... Sir, you didn't understand the reason for my question. I wanted to know if he had been gone from October 31st, which was your birthday, to the 8th. That's why I asked him when he left on his business trip.
Correct.
And he said he didn't leave until the date of this incident. You want to say he left before?
He did.
That would
leave
be
before.
interesting.
He
What?
did leave before.
He did.
Yes.
On what date did he leave?
I don't know the exact date, but I know
A week before, 5 days before?
it was maybe about a few weeks before.
November 9th?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then he wouldn't have been able to see your sword because he wouldn't have been coming in and out of your room.
He was there from the 9th.
Well,
from
this
the
happened on the
31st
9th.
From the 31st to the 9th, he was there.
Well, you just told me he left 2 weeks before.
I'm saying he was gone before that date, and then on the 31st, between the 31st and the 9th, he was there at the place.
Okay, well, that's what he says. He said he was there, and the business was only 1 day. He left on the 9th, and he came home on the 9th. You said, no, he was there for 2 weeks before. Well, if he was there for 2 weeks before and you didn't get the sword until 31st of October, he could not have seen it by going in and out of your room. So you have to sort of get your story straight, sir. So he was there or not there, according to you?
He was there.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
Okay.
Okay, it was a misdemeanor case and they declined to prosecute it.
Correct.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Davis, for several reasons. It's dismissed because it was brought in an untimely fashion. It was brought 2 years after the fact for no valid reason.
Your Honor,
it's dismissed for that. It's dismissed for a second reason, because I find some of your testimony, sir, incredible. And one of the reasons I say that is because you were not forthcoming with a legitimate answer to me with regard to your prior history, which isn't always dispositive, but if you had something pending for evading the police, and you had something pending for evading the police while you were on probation for a crime for which you were convicted, either after trial or after hearing, do you understand? You would remember that. Are you still on probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done.
This
You're
court is
making a
adjourned.
big mistake, Your Honor. You have guests over 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I have a girl over for 3 days, and now it's World War III.
He was only allowed to stay there by himself, not with his girlfriend.
I never went at him with a samurai sword.
pretty scary.
He basically just used the system against me because I'm a person of color and I have a record already, so I fit the bill.
He had a criminal record. When I rented the room to him, he was asking for a second chance.
It's easier for them to lock somebody up who's already been to jail.
Nobody was renting him the room, and he was saying he's trying to start a new life.
I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I wouldn't even need a weapon if I was going to assault him, but I never did.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, there are so many lessons from this case, I think, Sarah. One of them is there's a reason that the law tells you to bring an action in a timely fashion, right?
Many reasons.
Many reasons. One is because it's not like an afterthought, you know, and there are reasons for delays. You were in a hospital, you go into the armed forces, but here there was no really legitimate reason for him not bringing this kind of case in a timely fashion. And the other one that's always a good thing to me, what did you think about his credibility?
Yeah, I think it's hard for a fact finder to believe the totality of your testimony if one of the first questions, just about a simple question of your prior history with law enforcement, if you have any pending charges. I think that's a very simple question. If you aren't fully truthful with the fact finder on that question, it makes it really difficult, and the rest of your testimony is now suspect.
That's true. That's a